You go.
Hey, ladies. How's everyone doing tonight?
Hey.
Hey. Well, we haven't been on for a while, so we came on to grace you with our presence. I want to thank all of y'all for joining the experience tonight. Just do a quick recap. So we're gonna start off with my homegirl, Dr. Royal Rain. Hey. And my blast from the past and the present, Miscommunication.
Hey guys, what's up? How you doing?
And Tay Tay all day. How you doing?
Hey y'all, hey, I'm good.
And we have a special guest today. We have Arania. Hey, Arania.
Hey, I don't get a special label.
Oh, okay. It's my sister from a different mister.
Here it is.
Hey, it is.
That's what I wanted.
All right. So how's everyone doing? How was everyone's Thanksgiving?
Wow, it's been that long, huh?
Yes. The last time we met was before Thanksgiving.
Wow.
It was.
Wow.
It was.
Feels like a
Shame
long
on
time
that.
ago.
So how was everyone's Thanksgiving?
It was
How's
I.
everyone feeling for the holidays? I know it could be like the most joyous and the most depressing time of the year. So how's everyone feeling there?
Mhm.
No?
Good.
It don't
I'm
feel like
good.
Christmas.
I'm good.
It don't feel like Christmas.
It
Yeah.
does not.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's not. It's happening, but it doesn't feel like it's happening. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
like Cindy Lou from The Grinch. It's inside. Christmas is inside.
That's right.
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 I hope them dollars come from inside too. 'Cause that money is not
Come down the
money.
chimney with all the other stuff.
Come on, it's not money.
I'm gonna ask
Everybody's,
Cindy Lou how we do that.
everybody's getting an apology for Christmas this year. Like, listen,
an apology. Oh,
yeah, man. Listen, the car decided she no longer wanted to be part of, what's going on in my life. So everything had to go. Yes, the car. The car decided no. She's like no longer. So everything had to go towards that. So therefore, everybody's going to get everybody. And I told everybody, it is what it is. We're gonna take it.
Right. So no apology is needed.
No
It is
apology.
what it is.
Right. Grown folks understand that this is
There you go.
prioritizing,
Mhm.
So
Well, for our experienced fam out there, we definitely understand that the most wonderful time of the year is not always wonderful.
That's
And
right.
sometimes your pockets are screaming louder than the holiday songs. But we hope that we can bring a little sunshine to you tonight. So, Tay, what's our topic?
Hey y'all. So we're gonna talk about motherhood and the challenges. Now everybody know I'm not a mom. Well, I ain't birthed no kids. But there are
She's not a mom in the womb, though.
not one of the womb. But there are plenty of loved ones in my life. From a lot of my friends and family. But one thing that kind of stays constant is my appreciation for single mothers. Now I know motherhood period is hard, but I was raised by a single mother. So that's my experience because I'm not a mom myself. So that's what I look at. So I just had some questions for y'all, for my mom friends, and just kind of wanted to dig into it because I saw her struggle, right? So I've witnessed the single mom struggle. So I just wonder, what were you guys' experiences sort of coming up, and then what have you sort of mirrored, from
Oh, good question.
That's a good question.
and if you do that with others. So if you're doing it yourself, and if
Strong.
you know,
All right, who wants to start? Okay, so for me,
not all at once.
Right.
so for me, I grew up with my mom and dad in the household. I think honestly, my household was a little inside out, and what I mean by that is my mom was more of what we describe fathers to be, and my father was more of what we describe mothers to be. So he was the nurturer, he was the hug and cry with you or whatever, and my mom was the I'm working 12-hour shifts and finances and teaching about finances. What I took from that into my own motherhood is realizing you could be both. You didn't have to just be one, but my motherhood has two levels to it. So I started off. I have an experience of motherhood with a spouse, and I have experience of motherhood as a single parent, and both of them were hard. Um, so so we don't get too deep. I'm sure we'll get into that too. There are different levels to motherhood. Just like I feel like the motherhood with a spouse was hard. Maybe not as hard as a single parent, but it was hard because now I was being a mother and a spouse.
So what do you mind like expounding on one thing that kind of made it hard or difference, a key
Because
difference?
you have to be my mom. First of all, I don't know what's wrong with kids. They never want to go to their daddy. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
they
Who are
never
you
want to go to their
saying?
daddy. Okay, but you're like married to this person. They still want you to be a wife. You still got to be a little sexy and passionate, and a bit domesticated. But then the kids are getting on your nerves. And then for me, I was split in many places. I was Black Pearl, the career person. And so, you're one person out there. Black Pearl, the mom, and then Black Pearl, the spouse. You know, for me, I feel like the base of parenting, the base of my relationship, what I wanted to give to my kids was a relationship of love that they could see. So you still have to feed that relationship too. You have to feed that relationship, but your kids don't care. They're hungry, their head hurt, their friend said. So that was some of the challenges. But I say that to say, looking at my parents, it made me realize how important that was. I didn't see that. My mom's like, money, 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 go, 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 go. We got the house, we got the car, 2 cars, and I'm just like, what does that matter if your relationship is struggling? So I think that's what I took. I love on my kids, even though they're not little kids. I love on them. Wherever you see me, you see them. And I think I just doesn't mean that what I saw was bad.
Right.
It just means I took the seeds that my parents gave me and I made the decision what I wanted to come from those seeds versus this is how my mom was, so this is how I am. Nothing I could do about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Enough
about Black Pearl. Y'all go ahead.
I think for me, so coming up, and for everyone who sees my name, is Arania. So I may say that a few times, but anyway.
Go ahead.
For me, growing up, my mom was the primary parent. My parents were married, but my dad was in and out, right? But I saw my mom struggle. So she pretty much raised us as a single mother, but we had grandparents, right? So all my grandparents were on the same street. So we had, the grandparents, we had the uncles, and so we had a lot of family around us. So I never missed the parenting, right? The other parent. I missed them, but I didn't miss that relationship that I had people to care for us, right? So my mom really raised us as like a single mother. Now, from a young kid, I always wanted to be a mom. That was like my thing. I've always wanted to have kids. But as I've gotten older, I've noticed that I reflect on things from childhood that I saw her do. And I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that, because she was parenting out of survival, right? So she had to do things in a certain way that for me, I'm married, right? So I'm married to my high school sweetheart. So we grew up together, and then I've never had to experience being a single parent. However, like you said, Black Pearl, these kids forget they got a daddy. And I'm like, do you just walk past your father to ask me a question? Oh, well, he's doing this and I'm doing the same thing. So my response now that they're older is, you do know you have another parent, right? And I continue on doing what I'm doing. They know what that means. So, but I have girls, right? So to go to dad, it's like, man, daddy's not going to get it. If he don't get it, that's fine, but still go to him, because I'm not a single parent, right? So, but there are still responsibilities as a mother that, regardless if we're married or not, there are still things that automatically fall on me as a mother. So, like I said, so I'm Arania the mom, Arania the wife, Arania the mom, Arania the entrepreneur. So it's a lot of hats that I have to wear, and it's a lot of prayer to get through it. But I do see things that my mom has done that I kind of like, oh, don't do that. No, 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 no. You know, and so I talk to my kids, you know, hey, I realize I parent you this way because this is what I needed at your age and I didn't get it. So that is why I'm like that. And so as my oldest gets older, she's hearing me better and she's understanding me better. And so we're growing in that relationship. And I always tell her, I'm doing the best I can. And I mean, I'm just going to be just transparent. There was a time we were sitting right in this room and we were both in tears. And I'm like, look, kid, I am doing the best that I can. You are the first kid that I've raised that is this age, right? So I'm trying. You are like, I'm trying. Now, granted, I've been blessed to be around nieces and nephews before I had kids and help, you know, having a hand in raising them, right? So I knew what it was to raise a kid, but not, I didn't know what it was to be a mother until I had my own kid, completely different experience. So I love it. I wouldn't change anything about it. It's like my number one best accomplishment ever is being a mom. So that's kind of where I am. And I'm trying. It's not easy. I don't care what nobody say. I don't care if you're married, divorced, co-parenting, whatever. It is hard.
The easy part was getting pregnant.
Hello.
That's the easiest part.
I think pushing them out was easier than raising teenage girls. You know, it's a lot.
I got boys too. Trust me, there's a headache there. That's why I'm gonna let the rest of y'all talk. We'll come back.
I like it. I like the theme that we're getting because it sounds like overall we're doing things different. We're looking to see, okay, lessons learned. Don't want to do that. Let me shift this. Okay. I like it. All right. Okay.
You like it?
I like it.
What about miscommunication of Dr. Royale?
So I will go next only because my brain is like, yeah, this is thing. So I had both parents in the household. My parents are both, I always say my parents are from a different country. So my mother was different in terms of the way she raised us. They were both worked. So we were like, you know, I wouldn't say on our own a lot, but it felt like looking back, it felt like we were on our own a lot. It's me and my brother. So I have a younger brother who, and the way they raised I've always said the way they raised my brother and the way they raised me, two different ways. Like
absolutely. And
completely different.
From myself too.
Yeah. So as a mother, as a woman, I was one of those women who really wasn't trying. Having kids was never my thing. That was not. I was gonna be okay being everybody's auntie. I was never the kind of person I was gonna be like, oh, I want children and my uterus. Nah, I was never like that. So when I got pregnant, I was like, holy, that one. And I did not. And I was like, what, like, you know, what is this, right? Like, what is this gonna look like? I have one son. And I always say, you know, I have one son on purpose, if that makes any sense. I have one child on purpose, like, which me and him still get in. He still gets at me. He's grown. He still gets at me for being an only child. Like, why did you decide to be an only child and things like that? But my motherhood skills are, I think the way I go when he was little is different than now that he's older. Because my mom and dad had a heavy hand helping me raise my son because I was by myself. So it was almost like I had a younger sibling that came out of me, like that kind of like that kind of relationship. And it's interesting that I say that out loud because a lot of times I don't admit that, but that's exactly what it sometimes feels like. It feels like I gave birth to him, but my mother and father
instilled more so. You kept it going. You didn't change it up. You're like, okay, well, it worked for me. This is how I'm gonna raise my child too, and they're gonna help me do it.
No, not even so much that. It was that because I was a single mother and my mother and father were both, they both retired right after I had my kid. So it was like, I gave birth and went to their house and stayed at their house for a month.
So they were part of your parenting team.
Right. 100%. No, I mean, your village. Yes. So I guess the clarifying question is what I'm trying to get to is, so I heard you mention they raised you and your brother different. So would you say you're raising your son like they raised your brother? Would you
Oh.
say?
No, absolutely not. No,
Mm.
absolutely not. I feel
Okay.
as though what they did was that they didn't give my brother accountability on certain things. Whereas my son is, he is from young, he's always been super independent. And I think that this the reason why he's been super independent was because I specifically wanted a child. I was specifically wanted to raise a man that was going to be a asset and not a hindrance. So
Mhm.
that was like that was something that was very, very, very like in my head. My son cleans, my son cooks, my son does all these things. And the reason why he does all those things is because I made sure that he knew how to do all those things so that if he goes and be whoever he's with, he will never be a burden to them because he knows
That's
how to
right.
do these things.
Right.
But that was something I specifically
Like you're focused on
I was
doing.
that
Yeah.
was not I was definitely because to me it was so important for that type of person to be in my life. So it's almost like so that's why our relationship is kind of weird sometimes because it's like am I his mother or am I his or am I like his
Sibling.
sibling? Am I
That
his
makes
auntie? But then again at the same token his friends always tell him, "Yo, you lucky you have a mom like that."
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And I don't know if sometimes what you have is not always what you want. So when someone tells you
What
that,
you
oh,
mean?
that's
That's
great, that's
right.
wonderful. You can't look, you can't see it that way. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like,
Mhm.
well, no, I want the mother that used to make 3 meals a day and take me to the park. And I was not that mother. I was like, listen, you skinned your knee, go get a band-aid out the thing so I can put it on
Word.
you. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not really,
Word.
so that part, like the nursery part, that wasn't really my.
Your
I was kind
thing.
of mothering. I'm motherish. I'm not
But
mothering.
but let's put this out there because I know I can experience this too. Also because of the cultures that we come from.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Period. Black women are focused on being strong,
Yeah.
not soft, because we're out here like, let me prepare you in the house before you
Mhm.
figure out what's going on outside the house. I'm just being real.
Mhm.
So yeah. What about you, Royal?
So my experience, can y'all hear me okay?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. So my experience, I grew up in a two-parent home for the first 10 years, and then my parents divorced, separated, divorced. And then after that, my relationship with my mother was quite tumultuous. Um, and that's just being transparent. And
Mhm.
so, with that being said, um, similar to miscommunication, um, when it came down to the expectation or the roles between my brother, not because I have two siblings, but my brother that's under me, there was this division, almost like a double standard, like miscommunication is speaking to. And so I had to do everything, literally everything. Some things we did share, but he was lazy, he was trifling. So anyway, it ended
Not trifling.
so it ended up falling back on me, oftentimes, to just make sure that things were done accordingly, so that we wouldn't get in trouble. But
Mhm.
with that being said, um, unlike my counterparts, I intentionally wanted to be a mother. I intentionally got pregnant when I got pregnant at
Mhm.
17
Mm.
because I, I knew what I was doing. Yes, I was very much
Mhm.
grown, and I knew how to make some things snap, crackle, and pop. So
Okay.
Okay.
Get
it was intentional. It truly was. So and so at least my first child was intentional. Okay. So with that being said, when it comes to my raising my children, even though I've been married a couple of times, I was more in a single parent kind of situation
Mhm.
for a lot of for the first two marriages, um, for different reasons. But to answer the question, Tay, based upon my personal experience with my mother and wanted to do things a bit differently, I made sure that my communication with my children have always been very open and respectful.
Mhm.
Now my
Yep.
now my kids know that I don't play
Mm-hmm.
at all. Um, like literally, I have yoked my daughter, yoked her, and I said itch because this day is Sunday, but there was a B on the front of that it. Um, but I had to yoke her up one day. Rainy, I had to let her know, baby.
Hey, listen, do what you gotta do.
She forgot. She forgot for a second who was making some things happen.
Right.
And in that situation, she did make a comment about her father, but her father really wasn't contributing, and that kind of took me over the edge.
Yep.
So I had to yoke her up because she forgot.
Understood.
You had to shake it up to make her remember.
Yeah, I had to
Get your
shake her
mind
up.
right.
Yeah, because come on back to the light. And so,
Carolyn.
yes, ma'am. And so, when it comes down to how, as a single mom, when I was in college, I made sure that my children saw the importance of education. So when I would pick them up from school, we would either at home, if we went out and grabbed a bite to eat or whatever, we would all sit at the table wherever we were, and everybody was respectively doing their homework. And I remember I remember a waitress one day um, coming up to us, and she was like, "Oh my God, like this is so cool! Like everybody's doing homework." Yeah, because I want them to understand the effort that I'm putting forth to make
Right.
things better for all of us, but
Right.
specifically for them. Living in subsidized housing and having a beat up car, but it got me from A to B, so I won't complain and praise God.
Right. Praise
But
God.
yeah, exactly. But I wanted them to understand the importance of education and the sacrifices
Yes.
and the genuine effort that was being put forth. But then when I got married the third time, my kids were able to be in a home where they had two parents. But even in that was a bit of a challenge as well. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later. So I won't expound upon that. Um, but yeah, so um for me, yes, ma'am, I wanted to do things a bit differently. And being a second, I say a second time parent, because four of my kids are very much grown and adults. I'm a grandma of three now. Um, and then I have a 10-year-old. So with 10-year-old,
Just that,
yeah. And so with my 10-year-old, I'm still firm but fair. That's my mantra when it comes to
Yeah.
parenting. I'm firm but fair. But even with him, I'm a bit more direct. Like literally, I talk to him as a grown man.
That's
Um,
right.
when my no, Arania, because when my child, no, because that's what I'm saying. He's 10, and
Mhm.
so if you called me and you heard some of my conversations with him, you'd be like, "Girl, do you need
Uh-uh.
me for a
No,
session?"
I feel you though. I feel
Because,
you because I
because
do the same thing always.
when
But I feel as though maybe it's because you're a different. I always say it's because you're a different parent than you were when you first started.
Exactly.
Like you changed. Like you changed. It's not even that. It's not even your parenting style change. It's like when you were 17, the parent that you were when you were
absolutely,
17, and the parent that you are now,
That's right.
two different chicks.
absolutely, the
Mhm.
49 going into 50 me versus that 17 me, I ain't
Totally
got time to
different.
keep talking. And I didn't talk with so much with them, but I really don't have time to be talking. And so at this point, and so
Mhm.
I'll say what I need to say to him, like I'm talking to y'all. Get your A out my face and sit down somewhere. And I actually say the word. I'm being transparent. Now,
Mhm.
to somebody might judge me on that.
It's fine.
Res-
Judge your
res-
mama. It's okay.
I mean, that was
respect.
normal in my household. It don't sound foreign at all to me.
Okay, so I've
Turned out
got
okay.
well,
We all like,
I've gotten some criticism, so that's
Like
why
a
I'm
black
being.
mama to me, it just sound regular. Like,
Mhm.
I
yeah,
understand, but
yeah.
yeah, but with him, I'm doing things a little bit more differently from the standpoint of where I feel like I made a mistake with my son, with my other son. With him, I'm trying to be more attuned to what he's saying, how he's saying it,
Mhm.
so that way we can again sit down, because these kids today are different from the,
Absolutely.
the
Yes,
other
they are.
generation.
Yep.
Yeah,
Like,
You're right.
way.
No lie.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
no lies. No lies detected. No lies.
And they
No lies
are
detected.
sensitive, right? So even when you say things to them, right? So like my oldest, I'll have to look at her and I'll go,
Yeah.
okay, wait a minute. She's so much like me, right? I got to
Yeah.
think about her personality. How would she receive what I have to say to her? So I'm like,
Right.
all right, I got to get the point across, but it's a certain way I have to do it. So
Absolutely.
Right.
sometimes I'm just like, you all right now.
Right.
But my youngest, she is the, like I told Black Pearl, she's that picture where you see where that second kid is in your face like this. It's like always it's a conversation, right? It's not like disrespectful though. But I'm like, yo, you making a
They
point.
want explanation. Yeah, they
Yeah,
they
but
want
I'm
to
like,
explain themselves. They
right. If you
they
don't
need
go over there and sit down,
Right.
I hear you, but I don't want to hear that right now, right? So we have these really open conversations and we keep it real, right?
Right.
But I
I
will
think
say,
that's fair.
watching Erica, how she was, right? Because I had a hand in it. It's like, oh, okay, I see. Oh, okay. That's okay. Yeah. I got you. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk to you in that way, but it's respectful because one thing I appreciate about watching, I call you Erica, but whatever. One thing I appreciate
It's
about
okay. Go
watching
ahead.
Erica with the kids is that I love the openness of the relationship and
Mhm.
the just talking about everything. And I'm like, that is so good because then there's no secrets. So
No.
you know what I'm about. I know what you about. We're gonna be straight up and real. And the funny
Absolutely.
thing is, my kids' friends gravitate towards me.
Yep.
Right.
But you know, it's funny, coming up, my friends used to gravitate towards my mother, but my
Right.
Right.
mother was
Yes.
not
I
an
remember.
open, yeah, because Lynn was around to right.
I remember. Yeah.
So everybody would gravitate towards my mom, but
Yeah.
she wasn't a she kept an open space, but
Mhm.
she wasn't a straight up like we are, like we gonna talk about, the real. We gonna get
Nurturer, though,
Right.
right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. As
Well,
much as she could
speaking of
be.
open, that actually segues into my next question. So I'm glad y'all are kind of talking about the openness and having those
Mhm.
relationships. I really think that's important because
Mhm.
thinking about it, I didn't really have much of that in my house. I think
Right.
it was you miscommunication that we were kind of there. You and your sibling were kind of there alone because hey, my mom was working. Like she had to
Mhm.
work. She had several jobs.
Mhm.
Okay, my work ethic don't come from nowhere. Okay, I've seen this lady grind.
Mhm.
Okay, so I know what goes down. And at home, like you're not raising yourself, but at a certain age, you gotta like buck up,
You're like
Yep.
buttercup.
a what do we call it? Latchkey kid? Latchkey.
Latchkey kid. That was
Absolutely.
me. Mhm.
Absolutely. So no, I love that. I love that. Thank y'all so much for sharing. Okay. Ooh, next question. This is good. This is good. We have to do a part two. But okay, so the next question I wanted to ask was basically what do you guys do to okay, so we talk about roles, right? And
Mhm.
what hats we wear. And I'm the boss here, I'm a colleague here, I'm wife here, I'm mom here, or partner, relationship, whatever here. Then I'm a mom and I'm a grandma. Like, how do you section yourself off in terms of go right
Mm.
into it? You just get off work and go into mode. Like you don't I just want to know like
Yeah.
what are you doing to segue those sort of roles in your life for you, not for them.
Yeah.
What are you
Yeah.
doing for you so that you can smoothly kind of transition into those roles?
I think it goes in like different stages of life. You
Yes.
learn to do it in different ways, right? So when they were younger, it was no, it wasn't a whole bunch of, I didn't know what self-care was. How about that? It
Correct.
was just
Okay, there's not a lot of transition when they're
not
younger.
at all. It was zero transition. But
Okay.
as they get older, you learn, okay, what do I need? What can I do? And then some days where well, for me, I can say some days I need that quiet in the car on the drive to the school, that 10-minute drive. We're going to value this quietness. But then there's some days where I'm like, I don't need that. I can just go and just hop from, different roles. So I think it just depends on the stage of life you're in. It depends for me. The stage of life I was in, grad school and had a toddler and pregnant and then had a newborn. And, you know, so you go through different stages and then you get to a point where you're like, okay, we're at this stage now. What do I need? You know, I could stop, I can transition. And praise God for my husband, because he just be sitting there looking at all of us like, y'all crazy. You know, y'all just going. But he knows me and he knows what I need. So when he sees it, he steps in. So then it's not me like I don't have to be structured with the transition, because he
So
knows how to.
he sees like he sees you before you burn out, and he steps in and like, look, babe, or whatever, you know, whatever.
Yeah, and we don't even have a conversation. It just happens, right?
Ooh,
And now that the kids are getting,
let me tell you something.
It's something that I'm doing for me.
but you know, as the kids are getting older, they're doing the same thing, right?
Sidebar,
They see it.
Sidebar. So
Push
let
us.
me say all this. I don't know. I mean, I know she's been on the show before, but y'all gotta understand, this lady and this man been together since
29 years.
like for real.
I
Like,
be 20
they've been together longer than they've been alive.
Okay, I know that's right.
Next month will be 29 years. Yeah.
29
Yeah.
years. So at the end of the day, there's like this thing that's like, I mean, she's like, listen, when I tell you the fortunateness and the fortunateness, if that's even a word, the fortunateness, because that's like that's what, you know, when people say, oh, black love, and you know, the one out of a million, there it is right there in the middle of the damn screen.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
it's not easy.
No,
no,
that's
I'm sure it's not. No one said it was easy. That's a that's a daggone truth. But
that's beautiful.
I think I think that's a cool thing, because I know for a fact that now that my child has hit the adult mark, that adult age, that one age, it is one of those things where he sometimes tells me, you need to mother me more. And I'm like, sir, we are done. And I don't mean it, sir, we are done like that, but I mean like the mothering. Like I told you, I was not that girl, right? So the young stage was to me almost easier than it is now.
Oh wow.
You know
I thought
what
it would be the opposite.
When he asked you mother me, do you know what mothering him looks like to him?
Exactly.
Yes.
In the stage? Okay.
Yeah, so the mothering is more of the, did you eat? Are you okay?
The nurture.
Yeah, like him, nagging.
Right. He just wants you to check on him.
Yeah.
Yes. And the funny thing is, again, that's not my DNA. Right? I'm not a nurturer by
and he knows that, but he asked for it. So I think
he does. But it's usually,
I mean, that's mature of him. That's really emotional intelligent of him to be like.
Usually when he asks for it is because he's at his wit's end. It's because he needs it now.
Right.
And it's like, you got it, ma. Like he literally
get that baby a hug. I don't care how old he is. Get that baby a hug.
Well, so for me, I think that no one really talks about the mental health drain that motherhood has on you, and the emotional drain. So my motherhood, and I'll just add this why, was very different. The dynamic was I was even mothering children that were not from my womb at an early age, right? So my motherhood had to come in different structures. There's only so much I can pour into a child that was not mine, but still filling in the blanks, because they needed something. You know, they had their own version of be a mother me, right? So your question, Tay, was how do you section that off? And I'm going to be honest, I didn't until it was close to too late, because that's how we learned, like, I am at the brink, right? I'm about, or I'm crying, but I'm really mad, and trying to be have a great career, trying to be a great partner or a great single mom, trying to take the weight off the kids when I was a single mom, like, double love. Let me double love you, because then what also sneaks in and never goes away is mother's guilt.
That's right.
Am I doing enough? Don't say that. They're going to be upset. Oh, one thing, blah, blah, blah. Right. Is this the best daycare? Is this the best school? Did I check it? All this other stuff, especially if they get sick. What could I have done differently? It's my fault. I don't know. I shouldn't have been wild at 22, whatever. It's just the mother's guilt. And so all of that actually has to be a multiple moving pieces for you to go, I'm not going to be able to give
That's right.
to anybody, but it's not usually just like everything is good and
Nope,
it's
never.
usually like I'm losing it a little bit, or emotionally I'm not good. And for me, I had to get to the brink, and in some cases, past the brink to come back and be like, let's do
Hmm.
that again. So the division is understanding. And I remember I hated when my mom said this to me when I was younger, but she was right. I am Black Pearl or Erica, like that first. There
That's
is
right.
no other role that
That's right.
can exist if
Without that.
not. That's right.
Without that.
But I had to get there and see how when I was there or close to there, how other parts were just falling apart, right? Because they
Hmm.
still need you. And then also realizing that I'm a mother and not to have a
Yeah.
savior complex, because that
Yeah.
motherhood kind of brings you that too. Like
Human.
you have to
Yeah.
do everything, right?
You
So
know, it's so funny, Erica, you would say that because it's opposite for me, right?
yeah.
So my mother, I didn't see the individual side of her at
Mm.
all because she didn't have friends. She didn't
Oh,
socialize with
yes.
anybody. And so she put all of her everything into us. We
Mm-hmm.
were her friends.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't even like really close to her siblings like that.
Mm-hmm.
We were her everything. So I didn't learn that from her. But
Mm-hmm.
what I did, well, I'm a lot, that's a lie. I did learn from her that I need to be an
Yeah.
individual because when I saw it in her, I was like, that
You
don't
don't
look
like
fun to
that.
me. I
Yeah.
don't like that. Like that don't
Yeah.
look fun. So I made sure that my children from a young age knew, and I had friends who were around before my children were born, like these developed relationships, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when they were really young, I made it very clear, mommy's going on a girls trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking about little, but I felt guilt about that.
Of
Like, oh my
course.
God, I'm gonna leave my kids. But my kids understood, and I had to explain to them, mommy needs this time because when mommy comes back, you gonna
Should be
like
better.
mommy a whole
Yep, should
lot
be
better.
better. Yep, should be better.
And they
Yep.
got used to it, right? And it helped again for my husband was so understanding and he supported me in that. And he did what he had to do when he knew this week in August every year, you know I'm gonna be gone. Like you just knew it. And so he did what he had to do during that time. So I didn't learn that from my mother. I had to learn who I was as an individual through, and I'm still learning. I am still learning. And these children about to be out my house, but I'm still
They ain't going
learning.
nowhere.
They
They
don't,
got
they don't go nowhere
I
no more.
rebuke that. I
They
rebuke
don't, they don't go nowhere no more.
not rebuke it.
They be up in there.
Yeah,
They
that's
be up
never
in
going
there.
anywhere. But if you ain't learning, you dying. So that's
Well,
right.
and here's the other thing. So my kids are older too. And I
Mhm.
literally just told my youngest this. I was like, as a mother, I get my feelings hurt at least once a week. Right?
Mm.
I don't
Once
know
a
why.
day. Once a
Mm.
day.
I was trying to be strong when I
nice.
Girl, you better be honest.
you here's some of the scenarios. It has nothing to do with emotion. Okay.
Mhm.
You're over here like, let me try to help you out. Let me give you a good word. You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm like, or baby, don't handle that like that. Now they're mad. They don't want to talk to you. They got an
Uh-huh.
attitude. Or you bust your tail to do something. I mean, bust your tail to do
I
something.
didn't ask you to do that.
There
You
you
did that
go.
because you wanted to.
But I have to also realize that they have to find themselves as they've watched me find myself.
Exactly.
So sometimes I'm just gonna have to
It
be like,
is.
This is their first time on. This is their first time doing this too. That's
Yeah.
what
Right.
this is
exactly.
their
That's
first
a
time
good
doing
point.
this too. You know?
That's a
Mhm.
beautiful point. I learned that recently. I'm like, you know what? I can't like our parents are human at the end of
Yes.
the day. It's just like me. And it's funny because of course I do want to be a mother to be frank, y'all, and to be honest. That's not something that I chose to do though alone. I did not want to do it and then bring my child up like me without my father in my home. Now I know him, I love him, he loves me, but he was not in my home. My mother raised me. And I don't want that for my kids. I don't. I'm absolutely, it's a thing that I'm going to stand on. It's a promise I
Mhm.
made to myself and God a very long time ago. And I have not made it this far to, come back on that now. I'm not doing it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I really feel strongly about making the conscious decision to bring a soul into this world. Like it's a people just, oh, well, why you ain't got no kids? And by who? I'm just supposed to pick a man off the street and say, hey, I
No,
want
don't do
That's
that.
what
It don't
everybody's
work.
doing.
They
It's
raggedy
bad.
out
It's
here.
bad. It's bad. I do not recommend it. I give it
I
zero
don't
But
stars.
either.
here's the other thing, and then I want to read this comment. We don't realize that the person that you pick to have a child with, that very thing that annoys the mess out of you, most likely will be in that child that you
Hundred
Oh
have.
my
percent.
Just like
100%.
because they're made of two. Like I have to tell my kids sometimes, yeah, every time something good happens, I'm like, that's me. But let's be honest. I'm being honest.
It
But
is.
there are times where I go, I see your, even though he's not around, good and bad, I point that out because here's the other thing. You need to understand those things too.
Yeah.
This is a familiar habit. Pay attention to it. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah.
So let me read this comment real quick. So this from Diva. Hey Diva. Hey ladies, this is Trickabell. I know I said it wrong, honey. I'm sorry. One thing I hated was not taking time for myself when I had a family. When kids move out and get older, then what? I had to ask myself, who are you? I tell any mom, find time for yourself, hang with the girls. Kids become adults. It's okay to be selfish for self-care.
That's right. I
Yes.
agree.
Excellent point,
Yes.
honey. Excellent point. Excellent.
No, really, y'all, because y'all know that's what I do. I push self-care because I know what happens when you don't do it.
That's
And
right.
I've seen what happens when you don't do it. And like I've just now, really put the time in to do it myself. So like it's so needed, y'all, because we are burning ourselves out. We are like y'all saying, we wearing these hats and we wearing them well. However, like Black Pearl was saying, you gotta pour into you, or you're
That's
gonna be
right.
empty when you try to give to your kids, your spouse,
Mhm.
your partner, your community, your job. You can't give them nothing.
Mm-hmm.
An
Mhm.
empty vessel. So
And
yeah.
when you come to them like that, they looking at you like, "What's wrong with you?
What's
Like, why
wrong with
you?"
you?
You know, it's like
And you
because I
get
done gave
burnt
everything to
out.
you.
Right? You're burnt out.
You're
Hmm.
out.
We go through
You
depression.
snapping and
Yep,
all of
we go
that.
through depression. Everybody thinks depression is just this quiet, but
It is real. It's
yeah,
real.
you
People
just
have high function depression and all
Oh yeah.
that.
Oh
They
high
yeah.
bring
function. That's the
smiling in
word.
your face. Okay. I'm telling
And
you
be
what I
broke
know.
on the inside.
Well, I have a
There's
question. I have
uh-huh.
a question. Mine is for
Can I
Royal.
say something
Oh,
before? Yeah,
it was for you too. So go ahead.
yeah, because I'm so different from all y'all on this one, um, in a lot of different ways. Because similar to I think it was miscommunication earlier. Um, the younger part was slightly better for me because I had energy, I had time, I had motivation, I had drive. Um, but even though it was semi easier, I had a child with a mental health disorder, and so when we talk about motherhood and understanding that all children are different, there are other things
Oh
that factor
yes.
into that we have to give credence to in regards to being a mother and what that looks like. So from that standpoint, for me, my self-care when I was younger, those that know me very closely, or have heard stories, I love to dance. That's all I used to do. That's why I stayed so slim. And so in my 20s, I danced all the time. That was my out. And that was my self-care. Once I got married again, I stopped dancing. And then
Mm.
I started putting on pounds because the cortisol started kicking in. But at any rate, um, to your question of separating, I don't, I, I don't, I don't separate because, and I don't, and I feel like I don't necessarily have to separate. I don't know if that's really real or not. But working in education, I work with young people. I work with children, and so being that my children were my students' age at the time, and now that I'm back in the school system, I got a 10-year-old and I'm working with elementary kids. Who you guys see
That's what you do.
on this show and who
Hmm.
I am in these streets with my kid is who I am in this building with
Mm.
your kid.
That's
And
right.
no, I do not use profanity with your children, but that's my disclaimer. But I do not use profanity working with other people's children. But where I'm coming from is the love that I have for children is
Hmm.
what I relay out to other children. The
Right.
guidance that I give my child is what I give to all children.
Yeah.
Because at my core, I do have a nurturing spirit. That's just what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But even in that, like I say, I'm a very firm disciplinarian. So I'm gonna tell you what you're saying or what you're doing. Is it really working for you? And if it's not, why are you doing it? And we get into that conversation. But yeah, so for me, it's just different. And then Pearl, when you was talking about mom guilt,
Mm.
y'all, I don't have no mom guilt. Let me.
Wow.
I don't.
Say
I
it.
don't. I don't. It's, and I say I don't because a moment ago, because I'm gonna double down for 1 second from the standpoint of earlier I said that I feel like I didn't do all that I could do, and I somewhat failed my son, my one of my older son. But even in that, we've had genuine conversation. He and I have, and he said to me, "Mommy, you did the best that you could do."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Piggybacking off of what Irania, but this came from him, and he said, "Mommy, you did the best that you could do because you didn't know how to do it any differently
Mm-hmm.
at the time."
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "I see how you operate with my brother, and that's cool because hopefully he won't make the same decisions." He said, "Even though you told me not to do da 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 da, and my hard-headed AWS did da 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 da,"
Yeah.
which resulted in its outcome. But just the same, y'all, I don't have mom guilt. So when I hear people talk about mom guilt, I'm just like, really? I mean,
and mine was real. I mean,
that's not being judgmental. That's just
Yeah, I mean, that's your truth. That's
I
you know,
think
Mm-hmm.
I think that is probably why I didn't date as much because I was just like, I'm one, I got to be two parents, da, da, da. I don't, and I didn't want to disappoint my kids.
and
Yeah.
thank because that was also how my self-care operated. Because when I needed some or wanted some,
You
my
got your son, huh?
yeah. But that's self-care. Self-care looks different.
that was
Yes.
I did.
self-care.
I did some alone. That's because I just couldn't. I just could not imagine. I'm just being real.
But
I just couldn't imagine bringing someone in and
well,
then
no,
they left and disappointed. Because then again, that would be me who did it to
no,
them.
and that's why. Thank you. That's why I say I appreciate you bringing that fact up because during that period of time, my children, I had a friend of friends or whatever, but my children never saw
Hmm.
coming to our home. So they were wherever they were,
Mm-hmm.
with a family friend or my mom or whatever the case be, of what but they never saw this person unless it was something legit. And so
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
absolutely. And
Yeah.
and
My
then,
son never saw me.
I
Yeah.
do that now.
My son never saw nobody
yeah,
unless it was something. And even now at this big age, it's still the same thing.
And it's funny 'cause this wasn't even on my list at first, but since we're on the topic, I have another question on top of that. So, do you think there would have been an effect on their mental if they had have seen men back in
absolutely.
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 Children don't do what you tell them to do. They mimic and do what you don't say. They watch you like, oh, she could do that.
True.
Let me do
That
that.
is true.
Well, I think that also it depends. Because see, for me, I specifically, I have a son, right? I never wanted my son to think that his mama was a
Uh-huh.
was a hoe.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Whether she was or not, that's not the point.
That wasn't the point.
That's none of your business.
I just don't want. I just no, I mean, I made very, very, very like it was. I was a very big decision. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
no,
saying?
and I respect that. I really do. I think that's
Yeah, it was a decision that I made.
honestly. And I just had to say that, like, kudos to y'all.
Yeah.
In my experience, I deal with everybody's mom, but me, right? So it's like the story is always, oh well, this person's around, that person's around, and I'm just like, I ain't a mom, so I don't comment on nobody's parenting child, but I just don't think that would be, growing up, that ain't something you want to think about.
I don't want him to think that he got Uncle John, Uncle Joe, Uncle Jim,
Right.
Jim. That's too much. That's too much going on. That's too much.
And I also wanted to give them stability. And when people are coming in and out, it is a structure of instability. So I don't want to do that. Then I think the other thing too for me with the dating and my kids were it's hard dividing those two things, right? Like the mom me when my kids were younger, go put your shoes on, go take your shoes. It's time for bed. And then what? So then the person I'm dating is sitting there like, oh, okay.
All right, I'm gonna let her do her thing.
Like, I mean, and just like when I was married, it was like, I don't feel like being sexy. I'm going to sleep. These kids drove me crazy. And Anna and Sarah and Bobby at work were making me right. But your husband's like, you looking good.
Hi, how are you?
You looking good with all that pea soup on you.
Hey girl, hey, right?
Hey girl, hey.
Oh, not pea soup. I don't like it.
I'm just saying, I'm just being extra.
No, I can know you, but that's real. No, I think that's
or, you know, your shirt is hanging off. They're like, oh, look at that right there. You're like, boy, don't you touch me.
Oh yeah. Oh no. Situation. When you're leaking, that's my favorite thing. When I see
that or you know, like I'm just being real. Like there were moments where I wanted to be a pillow princess, and you know, my ex-husband was like, "Come on, ride the Maverick." No, bro. I went to this football game and I had a meeting. I'm gonna just lay here and look cute. You
those are the moments.
So,
babe, I need to just lay here. Go and do your thing. Like
it's gonna feel the same. Don't worry. Look,
exactly. It's the same thing. You got it.
But it's the truth. It's the division of responsibilities. Because you also don't, and that was my concern with dating. I like telling the person who had a kid with you, hey, I can't because the kids did, and telling the person that you consciously made the decision to date, it's two different. Why are you dating? Right? But there were moments where that's the truth. So yeah.
Okay, so it seems to be fairly difficult to navigate dating pre-marriage.
Just for me,
it wasn't that bad for me.
Other people are like,
it wasn't that bad for me. I had a built-in sitters, so I was good. I was.
Well, you also had a village. I didn't.
Right.
I didn't. So right at one point, what it looked like I didn't need the village. How about that? And then when it was time to have the village, though I did have some support, they were starting their families too. So, and I started a little earlier than everybody else, right? So my youngest, let's put it like this. So my youngest is 18. My brother's youngest is like 7. We're like way away from It's the truth. It's the truth. Or like my youngest is Iranian, well, soon to be Iranian's oldest. You know what I mean? So
yeah, my oldest is the same. They're the same age. Yep.
It was just I was in a different place, and so now I'm watching everybody with their kids, and I'm just like, "You want my brother to babysit?"
Listen, I see the women. And I graduated from high school with their little 4-year-olds and their 5-year-olds, and I'm out here with my 21-year-old talking about Timothy. Can you pick me up? Can you go to the liquor store and pick me up? You know what I'm saying? I can do that. High school
friends. We have high school friends that have kids that are younger than 5.
5-year-olds.
And my thing, what I think about right now is when I first. So my oldest is Maya. So when I first had Maya, and then when I had Quentin, so there's one in the middle. When I had Maya, I was making food from scratch. I'm making applesauce from scratch. I'm running after her. I'm like, let's do. When Quentin was born, I was like, go get your brother.
Right. I'm not doing this.
Right.
But then I think to myself, if by some miracle of God I were to have a child now, where would I have the strength?
Right.
I don't got it. I'm gonna tell you right now.
But you know what? But that's why it's so important to teach them to be self-sufficient.
Yeah.
When my kids when I said, look, if you tall enough to see the top of the washing machine, you can learn how to wash clothes. So 6 years old, they both learn how to do laundry. 10 years old, they both cooking. At this point, we're almost 14 and we're 17. And I could say, oh, I got this work to do. Oh, daddy got this. And they like, oh, you want me to cook dinner? Yep. You know, or hey, can you cook dinner? Like go full meals and you know, so yeah, it's
so I want to play devil's advocate and then flip that and say that, and just in my own experience, I've noticed only through figuring out my trauma, that learning how to do things early and learning to be independent so early is the reason why I'm so hyper independent. And I have a problem asking people for help or like when I need.
You're also a Black woman, so that's normal.
Yeah, that's different.
And then like, so it's hard. So I'm not gonna say that's why it's hard for me to date, but that's one of my issues because it's hard for me to like expect things to people to do things for me or like
Are you the
expect
oldest?
Makes
anything from
sense.
anyone.
Are
I'm
you the
actually the youngest. That's the
Oh, that's different.
well, okay, on one side.
It's
But
different.
She said on
yeah,
one side.
listen, my mama, yeah, it's we
Listen,
We
my,
get it.
my
We get it.
yeah, my
different
son
siblings,
complains
different
about that.
So if it makes you, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, my
Miss.
son does complain about being the fact that he was so independent from younger, but he was
siblings.
also independent. He was also an only child. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
learning a lot of
Right.
things. I'm like now that he's older, and I mean this is recent. Like I think the day after or 2 days after his 21st birthday, he sat me down, and when I tell you he read me to filth, I couldn't even say anything. I just sat here and was like, whoa, okay. Like he literally came for me. He was like, listen,
Oh, he
this
hit.
only child thing was corny. I don't know
Oh.
why you did this. You didn't give me no dog. I had no cat. I had no friend, you know what I'm saying? Like all of my he said all of my friends have siblings and you're the
I'm
only
my only friend.
he's like, no, he's like, you're the only he said not only do all of my other, like even if they were single parents, they had multiple children. You're the only one that was a single parent with one child. So you like specifically told me like I was selfish. I was like, oh, yeah, girl. It was, and this is a couple of weeks. I'm telling you, I told you I went away for a little
He
while.
just turned 21 in November.
And this is when he sat me down and told me, and I was like, wow.
Oh,
I said, I
wow.
didn't know they was like that. But he always used to say he wanted a sibling. And I always try, and this is the first time I had a conversation with him. Like, do you know why you don't have a sibling from me? You have siblings, yeah, but it's different. You are right. Your father had a whole gang of children. You are the
Not a
youngest of a
gang.
gang of children, and I understand that. Now that you're older, you can go visit your siblings. He said, yeah, but I didn't grow up with
Different.
them.
That's right.
There's like
Yeah.
there's no connection like that. And funny thing is, I was trying to explain to him, listen, the reason why I didn't have another child was there was several reasons why I didn't have another child. And those reasons for me to have to explain to you those reasons this is where I said when I have that parent guilt, this is where I didn't have mother's guilt when he was growing up. This is where the mother's guilt is hitting me now.
Right now. Wow.
Now it's hitting me. And it's like, bro, you picked the wrong time to be having these dilemmas, but he's always had these dilemmas. He's like, I didn't have friends that I could go hang out with every day like that. Because remember, when we grew up, you go outside.
Yeah.
Just run outside and there's people, right? Run outside. And now when he was younger, there was no such thing. There was play dates. Right? And grandma and grandpa lived in another town. So when he got off of school, he went to the other town where there were no friends to play with. And then he would come home from grandma and grandpa's house and feel like he lost, like he missed out on everything. So this is all the stuff that's coming to me as a 21-year-old man telling me all of this, and I'm like, my God, like what? I thought we was done. I thought we was finished. But this is what I'm dealing with. So mother's guilt now is different. I don't know. I mean, no one else. I don't think anybody else is dealing with that, but I'm dealing with it. Trust me.
Can I respond to Tay though about you said hyper dependent, right?
Yeah, like I found it to be
independent.
So do you feel like it was birth order played a role in that? Because the more kids you have, that last one usually has to fend for themselves, right? And so I think for me, the reason I taught my daughters at such a young age, it wasn't from a standpoint of I don't want to do this for you no more. It was I've always told them this since younger. I am here to give you the tools that you need to live life, because one day I will not be here.
Right.
That part.
I will not be in your life to be able to do these things for you. Now, I still do things for them, right? I go in there, I clean the room sometime. I don't do their laundry no more, but there are things that I do for my children. So I taught them these things at a young age so that they knew, look, if you like to eat, you need to learn how to cook. You like to wear all these clothes, you need to learn how to clean them, right? And so you need to know life lessons. You have to know these skills. And I'm very much I hold them. I hold them so close to me. And I love doing things for them. I love doing things for them. And I know my boundary though, because there are times I'm like, I love doing these things for you, and I don't have no energy to do this. So, but
I
But I
love
think
that.
the most important part though is the communication about it. If you're not talking to them about it and you just like go do this thing and you're not telling them why,
Mhm.
it can get very complicated. So I think
Mhm.
that conversation is very much important.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I agree. I agree. I just, that wasn't my experience.
Hmm.
Yeah, we just, and I had the village, like I think it was much like you said, you had the road where all your family was kind of like, it was like that. I had the village
Hmm.
constantly around me. So when mom was at work, it wasn't like we were home alone, but we weren't at the same
Right.
Right,
Right.
right, right.
So it was like, I could go over to my auntie's house. I could go over here and go to my uncle's house. I could walk down the street
Hmm.
and go to granddad's, you know.
Right.
Mhm.
So family was always around. So that wasn't
Yeah.
like the issue of us like learning how to do things. But
Mhm.
I think there's a greater impact for the presence of a parent.
Absolutely.
Yes.
For me, just in my lessons learned and healing, I realized it was the presence that was the impact. Yeah, I'll leave it at
Yeah. Oh,
for
Mhm.
me.
Okay. Well, I have a question now. We got an hour, but I want to ask this question. If you can say two things that motherhood has changed in you, so stepping back, two things. What
mm,
would would those two things be?
mm. I
Hmm.
gotta think about that one.
And while they thinking, Tay, I also have the hyper independent that it is always a battle.
It's
But
a thing.
it's also a fear of being disappointed, just like
Yeah,
Mhm.
come on with it.
Mhm.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, read me like a book.
Mhm. Mhm.
stop
Mhm.
it.
And I have to like communicate that to people that I'm dating and taking serious, like up front. Listen, just be a little graceful. Give me a little grace. Give me some space because this is what I'm dealing with. This is how I react. Blah 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 blah. And if you ain't with it, it's cool. Just walk away. Just
Yeah. But you
Not,
know what? I know I'm married and I've been with him for a really long time. I had to learn how to ask him for help.
Mm.
It's the asking part.
You know
Jesus.
what I mean? I had to learn to trust that
He
he
got
can
you.
handle it
Yep.
because I didn't grow up seeing my
Yes.
father
Woo.
handle it or help my
woo, woo,
mother. You
Well,
know what I
Woo.
mean? So I
woo.
had to learn how to just,
well, you're gonna
okay,
roll out the seat.
I ask him now. And literally this is crazy. I have learned also when we go places, I literally stand there and wait for him to open the door for me. Back in the day, I did not do that. So that was part of me learning to ask for help is
Mhm.
who do I want him to be to me? Right.
Yeah,
And so I will stand back on a heartbeat now. And I'll
yeah,
be like,
just
thank
like
you.
that.
Yeah, thank you.
I love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
shout out to hubby. Shout out to hubby because we been talking
Yeah.
about.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to
That's
Shelby.
another brother from another mother.
Yeah, that's Erica's best friend.
Oh,
She loved him. Oh
I
yeah.
do, I do, I do. I do. But all right, so
But
do you think
yeah, two
about it?
things.
Okay.
I can say two things that have changed me. Um, I'm not as quick to respond. I think more now before I speak.
Mm.
I had
Mm.
to learn that.
Mm.
Um, and I had to learn to trust that my children have listened to me. Like they heard me. They hear me and I have to trust. I can't be on them all the time. I have to trust that they heard me, they took it in, they learned it, and they'll use that skill when they need it. I had to learn that. So that's that. I don't know if that was the direction you was going in,
That's what I
but that is what changed with me. No more control. Too much
okay.
energy
Mm.
for that.
She
Mm.
said too much energy.
Oh, it is way too much energy.
What about you, Royal?
I don't have an answer
Mm,
I mean, that's real. That's real.
mhm,
because on I've been on my own, and I'm doing air quotes because I attended a school here in Raleigh for the first 5 years of my life. So from the age of 4 until 10, well 9, basically I was on my own. I've so again, my experience in my life journey is so different from you beautiful ladies.
mm,
And to the extent that I can't say that something changed, because like I said, I wanted to be a mother because because I have always been the nurturer, the caregiver to those that I went to school with who had disabilities more significant than mine. So it's just so different, sweetie. So right now, girl, I'm just sitting here like I'm still thinking. I might have to text you later and be like, "Oh, I got one." But yeah,
That's fun.
yeah,
That's
right
fun.
now I don't know, love.
Okay. What about you, miscommunication?
What changed in me was when that little person came out. The idea that this was he came from me. That's where the change happened. Like when there's a person inside of you and they doing all of this moving and all this other stuff, and it's like, okay, but when a person comes out and you see that person and that's you, that you made that person and that's you, there's like this new thing where there's like this responsibility to be a good person comes from. That responsibility, I've always been, listen, Pearl, you know, and Raina, you know me for a very long time. You know, I've always been very, very protective of the people that I care about. So I've always been like that, even though I always say I wasn't mothery, but I was like that protective. So now imagine this person that I'm always protective of other people. Now this person actually came out of me. So now it didn't change me. It just turned it up a notch. Where it was almost like, you mess with him.
Oh,
I don't care where you at, what you doing, where you at. So it's
I'm
like
coming for you.
It's going down. So that part of me, it didn't so much change as much as it was turned up a notch, right? And even now, even him being, he's grown. Like I said, he's a grown man. But I'll tell you right now, he go, ooh, I'm on it. Let's go. It's on like butter popcorn.
Yeah, I think that's at any age.
Listen, you come for me. You come.
That happened to me today.
Come for me before you come for him.
Right now, she gonna be about it. What you talking about?
Let me tell you, I don't play them games.
Again, come for me before you come for him, because coming for him it's not a thing, right?
Yeah,
so if anything, that's the thing that's the one thing that changed in me, because I told him today, I said, listen, the one person, if somebody said Lynn is in jail,
you gonna know why.
You know why.
Right.
There's no too many reasons.
That's why. I can agree with that miscommunication. I'll go with that one as mine as well. Yeah, I am definitely a mama bear to those that I truly care about and love, including several people that's on this call today. F with them if you want to.
Word. We are all coming, all of us.
Thank you. That would be me. Thank you, miscommunication.
Yep.
You help
me go.
We're fierce protectors. That's I mean, okay.
Oh heck yeah!
I'm just shaking my head like
with my kids. Oh, people know it. I'm a very nice person. I am not a violent person.
However, wait, but she also makes threats now. Don't get us.
However,
hey, don't put my business on the street like that. But when
that was, I see the New York come right out, Rain.
Hey, you see, when it comes to my when it comes to my kids, I always joke that when my kids were younger, when we would carpool line, they would get in the car. I'm an energy. I have a discerning spirit. So I can feel the energy. There's certain looks. They could look a certain way right now, and I know exactly what it is, right?
Yep.
But I would never forget, my oldest got in the car, and I looked at her, and I was like, "You good?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "What's going on?" And I remember I was pulling out a carpool, and she said, "Somebody stole my." I said, "Skirt." She was like, "I kid you not." Right into the parking space. She was like, "Mommy, what you doing?" I said, "We going in the building." You said somebody stole something from you. We're going in the building. She was like, "But school is over. Is your teacher still in there?" Because we're going in the building. And so they know that's me. And now at the age where they are now, when they have challenges, I know I have to, I'm still that mama being silent, like, but I know they're at the age where they have to learn to kind of protect themselves and learn how to speak up for themselves. So now my question to them is, you need me to do anything?
Exactly. What do you need from me?
That's you need me to do anything?
Yes.
And then I gauge it from there, because I just need you to know
That
I
I
still
got
got your back.
Right.
Yes.
I got you. Exactly.
Yes. 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 Yes.
All right. Okay. Look, those are all good answers.
Mm.
Yes.
But
Yes.
Tay, did you have anything else? Because we've reached our hour.
This sounds like you need
This
another
is so
show.
good.
You need another show, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a few more, but we might do part 2. This was good. I learned a lot.
Another one, and maybe we could get, if Diva's still watching, we could get Diva up here too, because she made a very good point.
Yeah.
But I think this is the thing. Motherhood is a gift within itself, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
even
Such
though
a blessing.
and I'm sure fatherhood is too, but we're talking about motherhood. While we are given these humans to raise and teach, I feel like motherhood was more of a lesson for me.
Oh yeah.
It showed me who I am, who
Ooh.
I was, and who I don't want to be,
Mhm.
right? And it's also, they're my legacies, right?
Yeah.
People talk about legacies, money, and legacies this, but it's like, what are you leaving for the world? What are you leaving for the world?
Right.
Right? And I think about that all the time. And
Yeah.
I want each of y'all out there that's being a mother to realize that even though there are some people who go, I want someone to love me, that's why I'm having a kid. It's so much deeper than that.
Yes, it is.
So much deeper than that. And those who have kids that kind of leave them, I don't know why. I cannot see that, because I believe that you want to treat your investment right?
That's right.
Right? You want to plant a seed to have it come to fruition, for it to continue to plant seeds. So the question is, when you choose motherhood, what kind of seed are you planting into this?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
ROI,
good.
baby.
That's good. That's
ROI,
good.
baby. Yeah.
So on that
Yeah.
note, thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to Arania, Miscommunication, my home girl, Royal, and Tay Tay all day for joining us with the experience. We look forward to seeing y'all on Wednesday, and so many more shows to have,
Yes.
so many more conversations to have. So,
Yeah.
oh wait, I have to fill out Mr. Chocolate. If you're watching and you have not joined, you're wrong. And if you have not subscribed to the channel, you're even more wrong than that.
Crusty, rusty, dusty, musty, crusty, rusty.
All right. So from the experience family to you, thank you for joining, where the experience is always good.
Yay. Thank you.